There's one plant eater that's taller than all the rest. Giraffes are so big they're rarely attacked by lions. The giraffe has a ruminant stomach, but it does not graze the savanna. Its long neck gives it access to acacia trees, one of very few trees that can survive these conditions. Acacia leaves are rich in nutrients, but they're well protected. Eating is a delicate art. Giraffes can easily reach high into the trees, but they experience some difficulty bending to graze or drink. One problem from having such a long neck is controlling blood pressure, specifically the pressure of blood to the brain. When standing upright, the giraffe's heart must raise blood pressure to more than twice human pressure in order to push the blood up the neck and into the head. But when it bends down, all that pressure should suddenly rush blood to the head and potentially cause fatal hemorrhage. But it doesn't. That's because a giraffe has a special blood pressure control organ just beneath its brain. The structure, called a wondernet, is a network of blood vessels. As blood rushes to the head, the wondernet absorbs the increased flow and swells like a sponge. As it swells, arteries between wondernet and brain bend and crimp like a water hose, further reducing blood flow. The wondernet enabled the giraffe to become the tallest animal at the equator and reach for the richest food. But how did it come about? It's likely that as grasslands spread, the giant giraffe evolved from a short-necked forest ancestor very quickly because of a secret it brought from the forest. And that secret is still found in the remotest parts of eastern Congo. It lives on in the giraffe's forest relative. This relative stands only 1/3 of the giraffe's height and is the forest horse, the okapi. The short-necked okapi doesn't need to regulate its blood pressure, yet it also has a wondernet. And this could explain how the giraffe evolved. Okapi and giraffe have a common ancestor, the Paleotragus. If it can be proved that it too had a wondernet, it would solve the mystery of how the Paleotragus of the forest could so rapidly become the giraffe of the savannah. It's possible that the giraffe was pre-adapted to life on the savannah. But one of Africa's original inhabitants went down quite a different path to survive life in this arid region of the equator. It changed its brain as well as its body. Elephants don't have ruminant stomachs. So how do they beat the heat and the dry? They do it by being supersized. In dry seasons, smaller animals will starve, whereas larger animals like elephants eat less food per unit of body weight and are more likely to survive. But elephants also grew their brains. They use their tusks as a tool to peel away tree bark for nutrients. In the dry season, they remember where the best feeding grounds are and pass this knowledge on to their offspring. Elephants might be less efficient than ruminants at turning plants into energy. Their survival is based on brain power and size. Hippopotami are also giants. They spend much of the day in rivers and lakes to protect themselves from the sun's powerful rays. The pink colour is not sunburn, but a form of sunblock that they exude onto their skins. The water also saves energy. It helps support the enormous weight of their thick-skinned bodies. Like elephants, they don't have ruminant stomachs. They too have increased body size to improve energy efficiency and their chances of survival. Hippos have never shaken off their strong bond with water. They cannot survive beyond rivers and lakes. Yet, unlike many animals of the savannah, they are meeting the challenge of change far beyond the dry plains of East Africa. Moving west on the equator between the savannah and Africa's Atlantic sea coast, there's a mosaic of forest, wetland and grassland. This is what much of equatorial Africa looked like before the savannah existed. And helping maintain this patchwork landscape is an animal called the farmer of the forest. Red River hogs regularly commute between forest and grassland. From the forest they bring seeds that they spread on the grass. Red River hogs not only eat the seedlings that grow up, but they also spread the forest. Forest elephants are half the size of those on the savannah. Life in the forest is cooler. Food is more abundant. They don't need to be giants. But they're always seeking new sources of food. And during the rainy season, their appetite draws them towards the sea. In their path is a tangled forest of mangrove trees. These trees with long seed pods fringe the edges of lagoons. And in these lagoons, there are hippopotami. These hippos may look just the same as those on the savannah, but their behavior is very different. They too are drawn to the sea, but for reasons that remain a mystery. Animals come to the seashore where the equator meets the western coast of Africa in Gabon. Why do forest buffalo come here? They come here for food. The rain washes vegetation from the coastal forest out into the ocean and back onto the beaches. Animals seek out mangrove seed pods that contain high concentrations of minerals. Elephants also know of this special food source, and they pass this knowledge on to their young. But there is another surprise appearance at the beach. Hippos come to the coast, but not to eat mangrove pods. A hippo mother and baby seem attracted to the ocean. It's strange to see them away from rivers and lakes, yet they seem at home here. The baby is completely submerged by the surf. What draws them to the sea? Perhaps they swim in the ocean to wash off parasites. Do they use the buoyancy of salt water to travel along the coast? Or do they feed on sea plants that grow in the surf zone? No one knows why they come here. Only the hippos of Luango in Gabon swim in the ocean. In ancient times, hippopotamus-like animals went down to the sea and became whales. Perhaps swimming hippos on this unfamiliar frontier are the beginning of what could become totally different animals tens of thousands of years from now. Are we seeing evolution in action in the surf of Gabon? And are there other evolutionary experiments happening elsewhere on Africa's equator? The jungles of Gabon and Congo are dark and impenetrable. But in places, they open out into broad wetlands called bai. Succulent grasses and bulbs rich in minerals grow here, and forest animals emerge to search out these plants, among them West Lowland gorillas. These gorillas don't like water and will avoid it if possible. But the drive to get these precious plants leads some gorillas to overcome this dislike. Not only is this gorilla immersing itself in the water, but it's walking upright. The buoyancy of water helps it stay upright, and it walks arms raised like a reluctant bather not wanting to get wet. It's tempting to imagine that this is how our African ancestors began walking on two legs. And if climate or other conditions change here in the future, perhaps a walking gorilla will be better able to survive. But change is already happening. Further east, animals are already changing to cope with extreme heat. Tsavo National Park, Kenya, is at low altitude and has very high temperatures. Here, lions live at their limit of survival. The earth is cooler beneath the surface. They try to avoid heat as temperatures soar. In the shade, it's nearly 40, but in the open, it's close to 50 degrees Celsius. Lions here usually hunt at night, but if prey wanders too close, they cannot resist their instincts. To bring down a buffalo in this heat is hugely taxing of energy. Lions overheat very easily. If their body temperatures rise, they risk heat exhaustion and death. Death comes quickly for the buffalo. A throat bite constricts air and blood flow. After the kill, the lions must seek shade and rest before they can begin to eat. A daytime hunt can induce heat exhaustion among these animals, but in Tsavo, male lions have another strategy for beating the heat. Male lions here have greatly reduced manes. A lion's mane raises body temperature, so they've adapted to be without their traditional symbols of dominance. Dominant males can still be identified. Their short manes are darker. If it gets even hotter at the equator, lions with short manes could become a more familiar sight. Dawn on the savannah. A new day after another night of killing. Over millions of years, equatorial East Africa has undergone profound changes. Its animals have adapted and survived. And every day, that struggle to survive continues in battles between predator and prey. East Africa is like no other place on the equator. The incredible diversity of life on the savannah has arisen from merciless seasons of dryness and thirst, inflicted by the intense heat of the equatorial sun.